What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Koala Gardens. I'm going to show you today how $1,000 that was raised for me by my wonderful Wheel of Time family has been spent. It all started with Ruark, and they decided that they wanted to help what I'm doing here on the property, providing a wildlife sanctuary for loads of native wildlife, concentrating on the koalas. Ruark runs the Watch Party Wheel of Time podcast, and if you have not listened to this podcast and am not subscribed, go and do it. Next, John from What Up got in on it and did a wonderful YouTube video to tell people what was going on, interviewing Ruark, and that created lots of interest in it all. And then it was wrapped up when the wonderful Rob Christensen from Malkia Talk, who runs the Threefold Talk Show, got in with Melinda and Ruark, and we ran a live fundraiser and skyrocketed over that $1,000. Now, the aim of what I'm doing with this money is, when you look here at this map of the property, let's just have a quick talk about how that's all working. The property runs along a road that has partly a 100 km/h speed zone and partly an 80 km/h speed zone. I've removed all of the barbed wire fencing and have been planting a native hedge along that road to make it more safe for the wildlife. It's a bit over half a kilometre long, and the work that we did ran from the red dot at the top of that image down that red line to the red dot at the bottom. If you're wondering what are all of those other coloured dots with letters on them all over the property, well, that are all of the koala sightings that I saw on the property just during May. And if you were to come and follow me on Patreon, you would get to see those dots moving through the property map, animated as the month wears on, and you get to see just how the koalas move through. Huge thank you to all of my amazing sponsors in so many different ways, and I want to give a big shout out to Val Smider, who added to her Patreon following this month. I really appreciate every single one of you. And I would like to acknowledge the Widjabul Waible people of the Bundjalung Nation, the First Nations people on whose land I live, work and play. Now let's have a look at how this day of planting went on. This was my sunrise. What a glorious start to any day. I have this fantastic team of professional regenerators led by David Donati. And here's David's car. I've opened the back door up, and it's a bit hard because it's like not even quite 6:30 in the morning as I'm filming this, and it's quite difficult to get a good light in there. And that's his esky in the front seat. Some of you might know about Aussies and their eskies. Keeps his food cold, and it also doubles as a seat with cup holders to sit on while he eats his lunch. And there's these beautiful trees and bushes that are going to get planted today. They rolled up 2 cars, a trailer, plants, mulch, all sorts of things, and some of the mulch is being unloaded here for use up in the plantation area. A wonderful thing about living in a subtropical area is that even though it's winter, and so it is cold because it's early in the morning, we can still plant trees and they will take off and grow really well. Another way that you can support me if you can't afford to commit to a Patreon or in the loop adoption is you can just throw a couple of dollars in using that super thanks button just below the video there. Anything you do helps my work. A little while after they went out and started, I came out to do my koala spotting, and will you just look at the position Pudding is sitting in that tree there. I mean, I was just like cracking up laughing at the way she's hanging on with her legs up in the air. And if I zoom out, you can see she is up quite high there in an Angophora tree. And I'll look down, so I'm just inside that red boundary you saw, and there's the track I ride along, and that's where they are doing some planting at the moment. So we'll head down in a minute and have a look, but firstly let's just have a look at some of this boundary. You can see that there's logs and bits of broken up tree mulch that I use to mulch things there. And there's one of the new itty bitty teeny weeny plants all mulched in nicely with the straw. So you can see they've taken the plants out of the back of the car. They're now sitting in the back of the trailer. Things are all ready to go. All of these plants, I buy them from Friends of the Koala, so it's a double helping of koalas to do this. This is a hole that's been dug ready to go, and David agreed to stop his work and give you an idea of how this all happens. Yep, go for it.
We're here at Koala Gardens today, and we're just planting some trees along this edge. Try and keep the koalas on this side, not on the road. Keep the wallabies on this side, not on the road. They can, if they're scared, they can hide in there. They'll feel really safe hiding under there. And we're just going to run you through how we put it into the ground. So we've got this beautiful pittosporum here. We just give it a little squeeze around to get it out of the pot without damaging the roots too much. Push up that bottom, fingers over the top, upside down, a little luck. It's just a sign that how well you can just see all those roots grabbing on there. Yeah, it's healthy. But yeah, you can see that's ready to go in the ground. Lots of fresh white roots, holds all the soil in together. So at this point it's ready to go in the ground. Most important thing about putting this in the ground is this mix that it's been growing in, very free draining. So you need soil up to the top so that doesn't dry out. So if this plant's sitting up above the ground level, even a tiny bit, all the moisture will be sucked out of that around the roots. So to help our trees when they are going in and keep them moist, use some of these water crystals. It's about half a cup of those in the bottom of the hole. Mix it in with a bit of backfill. Just holds a bit more water in case you don't get the rain you're expecting or you're not back to water in time. We've also got a slow release fertilizer tablet. This has all the micro and macronutrients for it, just to get it going. You put that in the side of the hole and that will slowly feed the tree for the first 6 to 8 months. Just make life a bit easier for it when it's settling into the natural environment out of the nursery.
And then once it's in the hole and covered up, what do we do?
Then we've got a little bit of water and a little bit of mulch around the top. We usually get about 10 trees to the bale. Now this beautiful dry, not much weeds in these. It's always worth spending a bit extra to get a weed-free bale because you don't want weeds coming up right next to your plant you've just put in the ground.
Thanks so much, Dave. That's really helpful to know what it takes to plant trees in the native habitat.
Yeah, much easier if they grow themselves.
Definitely is. Cheers.
Thank you.
I came along later in the afternoon to get a bit of an idea of how many things. Now, this is nothing like planting in a nice little garden. These are being nestled in amongst the habitat that's already here. And even just from the moment they're planted, some of them can be quite hard to find nestled in there. And here's a little glimpse just behind these plantings. There's the road that they've been planted along. Some more of them. I won't go on too much with these because it might not be as sexy to look at these as to look at koalas. I really like this particular patch because this is a previous planting, and these are beautiful native banksias that are looking just gorgeous. And so what we've done is places where we've got things growing, we've just added more in to thicken it up and make a hedge. The koalas and all the other wildlife are going to be much safer with this road if they've got a good thick hedge of habitat going along it. And this little patch here are callistemons. They're also called bottle brushes. This one doesn't have as big and thick a flower as some, but koalas will actually eat those flowers. So once again, a huge thank you to all of my Watt family who have made this planting possible. Your generosity totally warmed my heart. And just as the end of the day has been reached for my regen workers, you've reached the end of yet another Koala Gardens video. So would you stop and write in the comments below, thank you, Watt family. Lots more videos still coming up. And if you are looking for a gift for yourself or for anyone else, hop over to my Redbubble store. Loads of different designs on so many different types of merchandise. There is something there for everyone. And if you've got this far, just hang on for another moment before you go. Next time, if you're talking and a car comes, just stop in a sentence. We'll let it pass and start, because I can just, edit then those bits out. Yep.